Anglo-Saxon religious poetry. Exploring the spiritual essence of Old English literature, Anglo-Saxon religious poetry holds a significant place in the realm of Old English literature, offering profound insights into the spiritual beliefs and practices of the early English people. This genre of poetry, composed during the period between the 7th and 11th centuries, captures the essence of the Anglo-Saxon worldview and reflects their deep-rooted connections with the divine. In this article, we will delve into the characteristics and themes of Anglo-Saxon religious poetry, examine its cultural and historical context, explore notable examples, and assess its enduring influence on subsequent literary traditions. The Anglo-Saxon era was marked by the conversion of the English people to Christianity. Prior to the arrival of Christianity, pagan beliefs and practices were prevalent, characterized by reverence for ancestral gods and a cyclical view of time. With the advent of Christianity, these religious customs underwent a transformation, giving rise to a unique fusion of pagan and Christian elements. The resulting religious landscape provided the foundation for Anglo-Saxon religious poetry. Oral tradition. Anglo-Saxon poetry was primarily oral in nature, composed and transmitted through recitation. This oral tradition allowed for the interplay of sound, rhythm, and imagery, enhancing the emotional impact and mnemonic qualities of the poetry. Alliterative verse. A hallmark of Old English poetry, alliteration played a vital role in religious poetry. Lines were structured through the repetition of consonant sounds, creating a rhythmic pattern that reinforced the themes and conveyed a sense of musicality. Syncretism. Anglo-Saxon religious poetry reflected the syncretic nature of the culture, blending Christian themes and imagery with remnants of pagan traditions. This syncretism enabled the poets to bridge the gap between the old and new faiths, appealing to a broad audience while preserving elements of their ancestral heritage. Themes in Anglo-Saxon religious poetry. Christian salvation. Anglo-Saxon religious poetry often explored the theme of salvation, emphasizing the redemptive power of Christ's sacrifice. Poems such as The Dream of the Rood and The Wanderer express the yearning for spiritual deliverance and the hope of eternal life. Divine providence. The concept of divine providence played a central role in Anglo-Saxon religious poetry. Poems like Beowulf and The Seafarer highlight the belief in an omnipotent deity who controlled the fates of individuals and determined their destinies. Transience and impermanence. The transitory nature of earthly existence was a recurring motif in Anglo-Saxon religious poetry. Poets contemplated the fleeting nature of life, the inevitability of death, and the longing for a higher spiritual realm beyond the material world. Notable examples of Anglo-Saxon religious poetry. The Dream of the Rood. This poetic masterpiece narrates the crucifixion of Christ from the perspective of the cross itself. It combines Christian and Germanic heroic traditions, celebrating the salvific power of Christ's sacrifice. The Seafarer. This contemplative poem explores the hardships of a seafaring life and the yearning for spiritual solace. It presents a contrast between the transient nature of earthly existence and the eternal rewards promised by God. Sedmon's Hymn. Often regarded as the oldest recorded Old English poem, Sedmon's Hymn praises the creation of the world by God, celebrating His divine existence.